How are you, YouTube? Marvelous. Prime Gundam coming at you with the first of the Let's Play Gundam War videos. Today we're going to be talking about just the slim basis of the game, the things you need to know to get started. First of all, in this game, your deck is called the Nation Pile, and your deck consists of a minimum of 50 cards. You can add more. That's up to your pleasure. Cards are limited to 3 copies per deck except for your basic generator cards. Those are unlimited, or as many as you need to play your cards. And you are allowed to mix factions. And in this game there are 6 factions or 6 color bases. The first is Blue. Blue consists of Earth Federation, Londo Bea, or AU units from the Gundam universe. And its basic playstyle is recovery or defense. Next is Green, and that's the Zeon faction, as you can see here represented by the Zeong. And that focuses on swarm or burning your opponent. Next is Black, which is the Titans in the Zanskar Empire. Zanskar is from Victory Gundam if you haven't seen Victory Gundam. And Black's main strategy is destruction. Next is Red, represented by the Suzabi here. And Red is the Neo Zeon and Crossbone Vanguard, and they are focusing on counters. Brown here, represented by the Turn A, is from Turn A and X, and their main strategy is recovering things from your junkyard or your discard pile. And finally we have White here, represented by the Freedom Gundam, and that's Gundam Wing and Gundam Seed. And basically their whole strategy is get big beastly units into play. So you win the game, you have to exhaust your opponent's nation's pile. That means your deck is your life in this game. You only have 50, so you got to make sure that you don't want to have too many cards packed in that you don't draw answers, but you also don't want to leave yourself too vulnerable for opponents. But I found that 50 cards, that's good, because you draw what you need when you need it. Now we're going to look at the game setup, the game map. I have a little Gundam here to move with me as I explain. This, as you can see, is a basic playmat, and here are the sections on that playmat, and we're going to have the Gundam follow us. Here is where your nation pile goes, and when you have to bring a card into play with its card cost or take damage, you move it from the nation pile to your discard pile. And your opponent can attack you in 2 areas. They can attack you in Earth, or they can attack you in space, which is on either side of your nation pile. Now why is that important? Because some cards have E for Earth or S for space, or they have both, meaning that they can only attack for Earth or in space. The station area, located below your nation pile, is where you play your units or your operation cards. It's where they wait to activate their effects or to move to the battlefield. Generators go right below your station area, and that's sorry about that glare. Your generator power goes right below the station area, and that's where you play them. And next to your generator power, follow me Gundam, is the junkyard. Is where used cards go. Now the junkyard is different from the discard pile, although they both share a similar name. Remember, discard pile is where cards from your nation pile go when you play a card cost to take damage. Cards go to the junkyard when they are used up out of play and no longer in play. Now we're going to talk about game phases. Oh, look at that handy stick. Alright, the phases are divided as such. There's the reroll phase. If you remember from a previous video, I said the cards have 2 statuses. Reroll, and roll. So your reroll phase is when you make all your cards ready for play. You can use their abilities. Then you draw 1 card from your deck. Then there's your assign phase. Now during your assign phase, that's the main phase. You're allowed to play 1 card of each type, such as a unit, a character, an operation, or a generator. But command cards are not limited to their rule. You can play command cards as long as you can pay the cost to play a command card. They're unlimited to play per turn. Next is your battle phase, which is divided into attack step, defense step, resolution step. That means you move to your area to attack, your opponent chooses to declare defenders, then you have to resolve the battle. And we'll get into details of that when I go into each phase in detail in another video. And after the battle phase is your end phase. And this game is really important because at the end of each turn, each player must always have 6 cards in their hand. It's a weird rule, but that's the rule of the game. At any time during the gameplay, you must have 6 cards in your hand at the end of your turn, each turn. If you have more than 6 cards, you have to discard them to the junkyard pile. Well, alright, that's the basics, what you need to know. In the next game video, we'll be looking at more detail of the card types and how to put cards into play. This is Prime Gundam and Tobey Gundam.